Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing great today. Appreciate those of you watching this video. I hope you enjoy it. And today we'll be talking about Roger Moore's first James Bond movie, Live or Let Die. Of course, the title song is sung by the great Paul McCartney. And let's say if you don't like Live or Let Die, that song, this movie's going to annoy the crap out of you. Because it is played at least 8, 9 times in this movie. I counted at least 8. It could have been more. I stopped counting after a while. But there, you got, the beginning, and then it plays in various versions throughout the whole movie. I know they usually play the title song a couple times during the movie, but 8 times. I guess there was like, we got to Beatle. We got to milk this guy as much as we can. We got to put this song in this movie as much as possible because all these Beatle fans are going to watch this movie. So, I do like the song Live or Let Die, but 9 times in 2 hours, that's a bit much. It's a bit much to hear one song in the theme music. You heard it more in the theme music, I love the James Bond theme music through the chase scenes. But, you got to advance. You got a Beatle doing your song, especially in the early 70s. You got to take advantage of it, right? So in this one, I kind of like this one because it's kind of like the scope of the villain is kind of more central, more narrow than your typical Bond villain. Usually your Bond villains wants to rule the world or something grand like this. Our poor villain here, he just wants to be a little drug lord king. Come on, he just wants to sell heroin to people and make tons of money. That's his goal in life. Why do you have to sick James Bond on him? But, that is what it is. Yaphet Kotto? Oh man, I probably really ruined his name. He plays an excellent villain in this movie. He really brings this villain to life. It's despicable, everything that's great about a villain, he really brings into this picture. Does a great job of filling the role there. And then Roger Moore is his first time playing James Bond. He does a very good job as Bond. I think his first time being Bond is probably a little bit better than Connery's first time. But I still think Connery is a better Bond than Roger Moore. Don't tell my wife I said that because she loves Roger Moore. Couldn't get her to watch a single Sean Connery movie. But now I'm in the Roger Moore section of James Bond. She's all for it. She watches all of them. She's starting to watch these movies with me. She's a James Bond fan. We got all the James Bond movies probably because of her. She loves them. I think Pierce is probably her favorite Bond. But anyways, let's get back to Live or Let Die. And then we got Jane Seymour. She's in this movie as our Bond girl. She's like a card reader, gypsy-like character, I'm going to say. Reminds me a little bit of Scorpion King, and Scorpion King with The Rock Johnson. Kelly Hu's character has to remain pure and in order to have this foresight. Same as Jane Seymour in this one. Just remain pure for her to be pure in order to be able to read these cards. But once she tastes the forbidden fruit, we'll say, she's probably becomes the horniest Bond girl. She's always wanting to get into the sack with our good boy James Bond here. He must be really good in under the covers. So I would say Jane Seymour is probably the horniest. Jane Seymour's character, not her personally, the character, let's get that right, the character is probably the horniest Bond girl there is. Barbara Bach was pretty there too. But Jane Seymour, every turn she was wanting to, anyways, let's get on to this movie. You got some great boat chase here in this movie. It's fantastically done. I think it rivals the Pierce Brosnan boat chase in, is it Tomorrow Never Dies or World's Not Enough? I'll find out here in probably about 10 weeks, right? But I think it does rival Pierce Brosnan's boat chase that he does at the beginning of that movie. One of those 2 movies. I know it's one of those 2 movies. It gets a little long, but it's fantastic. And then, you get the great crocodile scene, or is it alligator scene? Anyways, where Bond runs across the alligators. He can catch that stunt on YouTube. It took him like 5 or 6 takes to get that right. Real alligators, live alligators. I don't know why they couldn't use fake ones. So that's a brave guy right there running across alligators, especially doing it 5 times in a short time period. That's crazy stuff right there. I mean, I can understand you run across them one day and then maybe wait a day where they're not still agitated, but 5 times like right in a row. Whew, yeah, you're brave. You're brave. But he's hoping. I bet he wished he was able to get that right in the first time. But yeah. Also, you gotta remember old taxi driver in this movie. He reminds me a lot of the taxi driver in Total Recall. If you remember the taxi driver in Total Recall, he's a cool dude, but he betrays Arnold Schwarzenegger. Same situation in this movie. You got a taxi driver, love the character, turns out to be a bad guy. Come on. I guess one thing I should bring up right now, I was wanting to bring this up at the beginning of the video, is that Clint Eastwood was actually offered the role of James Bond. Can you imagine Clint Eastwood playing James Bond? I cannot picture Clint Eastwood being James Bond. I mean, he has to look, but there's more than needing the look to play James Bond. You also have to have like suave voice, and you know, Clint Eastwood's voice is a little ragged, you know, a little rough. Clint Eastwood is meant to play Dirty Harry, not James Bond. But he declined it because he thought James Bond should be played by a British, not American. I think that was a smart choice for Clint Eastwood. I think it's a bad choice for the James Bond people who want him to play that role. I just don't think Eastwood would have carried it off very well. And Roger Moore, I think, would have made a better James Bond than Clint Eastwood in that regards. And of course, we return to a shark trap. Still didn't give these sharks lasers. Come on, didn't give these guys lasers in a future Bond movie. All right, but you know, kind of recurring scene. I believe this is the second time we get a shark trap in a James Bond movie. Could be the third, but I'm pretty confident it's the second time. Overall, Live or Let Die, I think it's a good entry into the James Bond franchise. I think Roger Moore did a good job pulling this role off. I think as he goes on, he gets better and better. At least the first three. It's been a long time since I've seen Moonraker and Octopussy. I've only seen that movie once. So I don't know how he does in those movies. I look forward to when I get to that part of the franchise. But I think this is a good entry. Live or Let Die is a great song. A little overdone in a 2-hour period, but it is a great song. I enjoyed listening to the opening credits, and by the time it was playing during the closing credits, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But, you know, it was great. Jane Seymour does a fantastic job. She had a good career after James Bond. You know, I think she's one of the better Bond movie sidekicks, I guess you could call her. She does a really good job. Overall, I did like the theme of this movie being kind of like voodoo-ish. You know, you get the guy who doesn't get killed, I guess. You know, you're talking about, you know what I'm talking about, like the skeleton-looking dude that comes out of the grave and stuff like that. You know, I guess the reason why he was on the train at the end of the movie was because it was wanting to bring him back for other movies. Thinking about the future movies that follow this one, I'm not really sure what movie they could really bring him back to. Maybe that was the problem, but they never did. But overall, I liked it. I liked the Jamaican, Bahamas feel of this movie. I love that atmosphere that they presented, the New Orleans part, you know. And I did like the villain. I thought this was one of the better Bond villains, even though his goal in life is just to be a heroin drug lord. You know, heroin is really evil anyways, right? You get people addicted on a drug. Just, you know, I'm kind of glad it was kind of like a small, narrow it down at some grand conspiracy to, you know, destroy the world or rule the world or something like that. Just something kind of small. And then the next movie, The Man with the Golden Gun, you know, it's really even more of a small goal in life for the villain. And we'll get to that one next time. My next James Bond movie will be that one. But overall, like I said, I like this one. I think this is one of the better Bond movies, especially during the 70s. And I think it's better than maybe the last two entries of Kevin Connery. I don't think it's better than Her Majesty's Service. I don't think it's better than that one. But I think it's better than the last movie that Connery was in. Maybe his last two. I think it was better than those two. Anyways, hope you have a great day. Enjoy this video. Let me know, did you guys like Live or Let Die? What did you like about it? What you don't like about it? And what do you think about Roger Moore's James Bond presentation as James Bond? Let me know. Have a great day. Bye. Bye. Bye.